Hey folks, happy Easter weekend. It's Os with ASM Auto. So I've got a bit of a different video for you today. It's not tool focused per se. My 2001 Pontiac Grand Prix has a parking brake issue. So I'm going to open it up, figure out what it is, and then fix the parking brakes. I figured I'll take you along for the ride. Before that, there's a little bonus footage of a couple of tools I forgot to mention on the Toolbox Tour. So look forward to that at the beginning of the video, and then we'll get into the repair of the Pontiac. All right, a couple of tools I forgot to mention, or didn't forget to mention, didn't show in the last video. I think I did mention that they were coming during the tour. Well, I got this in. This was in the last flyer. This is the 13-piece. This is kind of like the old school, like Hansen style extractors, which for years, that's all I had was the Hansen style, and they were great. So I kind of wanted to go back to these because I did not like the Astro rebranded bolt grip set that Matco offered. I tried it. I wasn't happy with it. You know, I know some people like it. They've had better success with it. For whatever reason, it just didn't do that well for me. So I took the opportunity to go back to this style when it was on sale on the flyer, and I traded those back in for this. And so my Matco dealer gave me a great deal, them both being Matco products. So it was one I couldn't pass up. Otherwise, what I would have probably done is I would have gotten the larger version of this. I know CP the Tool Addict talks about these a lot on his channel as being, you know, the best or one of the best. I wholeheartedly agree. These things are excellent, these bolt biters. They have never failed us yet. This is the set I loan out when somebody needs to do something. One difference between these styles, and I've seen that Snap-on is also coming out with something similar to these bolt biters. Of course, it's made in the USA, and it costs a fortune, like $400 versus $180 in the flyer for this, and I paid $80. You know, with the trade-in. So as you get larger, the hex does not get larger. So as you get into the bigger sizes, it kind of gives you a little clearance advantage. On the flip side, the hex scales with the socket. So as you get into the larger sizes, basically you can put a larger wrench on there for maybe a little bit more leverage. And here's the other item I want to call out specifically. So this is Cornwell CMT 34103. Basically what this is for like measuring the play in ball joints when you're doing an inspection. You know, it measures the deflection. I mean, that's specifically what we use it for, but it can be used for measuring deflection of pretty much anything. So you've got, I prefer the vice grip style, and you've got your gauge right there. And the reason I got this is you might have seen the Storm version of this in the Toolbox Tour. Well, I wasn't really happy with the quality of the Storm. Now, I don't know who makes this for Cornwell, but this was like $30 cheaper than the Storm version. Comes with a warranty, and the quality is way better. Like the vice grips on the Storm were loose, and the teeth didn't line up. The teeth on this line up perfectly, and they're tight. They feel like normal vice grips. So just better quality control in this Cornwell set for a cheaper price and a better warranty. And it comes in a blue case, and blue happens to be my favorite color. So for taking off my lug nut covers, basically all you need is a screw gun, and I've got my Husky bit adapter for a 1/2 inch and my 19 millimeter. Now for some of the newer cars with those covers, I've got this little kit off of Amazon. It's pretty amazing. If you just search for, you know, like lug nut removal or, you know, lug nut plastic cover, whatever, it'll show up. And it's got pretty much the 3 predominant styles. Works like a charm. All right, here's the CT9050 in action. This is the only 18-volt Snap-on tool I own. The rest are all 14.4, but it's a beast and it's awesome. One thing I didn't realize at first, I thought it was defective because there was like a delay in response to the trigger. Hold on a second. But what it is, it's actually power save mode. So if it's been sitting for a while, there's a slight delay before it fires. But when you're using it, you know, regularly, it's ready to go right away. But yeah, this thing's just awesome. It's like the last generation of the Milwaukee M18 high torque impact. Gives you the same power, but in almost a mid-torque frame. This thing hammers, man. It's intense. Oh yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, so it's a drum style parking brake, and to get to it, you have to remove the rotor. So, and you need a 14 millimeter to take off the caliper first. The caliper bolts first. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see if this controversial guy, which again, I've had mixed success with, can take off these caliper bolts. Last time it couldn't, and I had to bust out the Astro air tool of this same style, which puts out 415 foot-pounds or 405 foot-pounds to this thing's 225. So let's see what happens here. Can it do it this time? Oh, yay, look at that. Actually worked. Okay. Good stuff. The grand irony is on this side. These bolts are not super easy to reach because basically you've got the brake cable in the way, the parking brake cable. All right, that little slide pin was so stuck in there, I had to use this bad boy to get it to basically pry it off. That's the one thing with these universals. Like, there's no pass-through, so you can't like knock the bolt out from the other side. It's kind of annoying, but yeah, that lower one was a real tight fit. But this thing for the win. Yeah, this one not nearly stuck as the other one, but again, you just take that little guy, tap it in there, and it'll push it right off. And if you need a way to hold it, just put it back into the caliper. Oh, and I should point out that this only works with a Trusty Cook SK rebrand, so make sure you go find this new old stock somewhere, or else it won't work. Just kidding. But look at that. It's got a striking cap. Sweet. Now, some of the commentary in this video is directed at newbies and DIYers. For example, most people know you should always use caliper hangers. You should not hang your caliper by this hose. You're just asking for trouble. Yeah, so I tried using the squeezing the nano socket in there. To be honest, I'm going to be a little more surprised if this right angle, the Milwaukee Impact can actually take off the bracket bolts, but I guess we'll find out. But anyway, it's just a little too tight for the stubby socket, so I'm going to have to come in through the back. Now for the lower one, I could just go straight in with the Sunex, but for the upper bolt, the bracket bolt, I have got to use a swivel. All right, last bolt. I know I'm skipping over some stuff, but my main goal was to kind of show off the parking brake repair and kind of the parking brake system. So I'm kind of rushing through the rest of this, just a little bonus footage, I guess. But this is the fun one. There's so much crap going on over here. All right, so last bolt. Can the Milwaukee finish the job all by itself? Whoop. Not if it comes off the bolt. Oh, there we go. Oh no, it was already loose. Never mind, that was quick. Thought it came off the bolt. Nope, just took it right off. Now, if the Milwaukee doesn't get the job done, that's what the Astro is for. And I absolutely love that thing. It is great. And then you couple that with these Astro pinless 1/2-inch sockets, universal, I should say swivel sockets, and you're going to get pretty far. Okay, so your parking brake assembly is basically here. You know, this pushes up against the inner portion of that rotor, and it's what allows you to brake. Now, I can still brake, but the interesting thing that was happening is that when I'm pointed uphill and I put it in neutral, I've got to push the pedal all the way down to get it to stabilize, to get it to catch. But if I'm going downhill, I can just push it like a typical distance, so it should be a little more than like halfway down. So this side actually looks pretty good. What I was expecting was to see one of these things, you know, one of these pads actually come off of here. So I'm thinking the culprit's going to be the other side. And I'll explain to you why in a minute. All right, now I'm a little confused because actually this side looks pretty good too. In fact, there's a lot of pad life left on there. So something's going on. Somehow somehow these brakes aren't engaging, or maybe they need to be adjusted. Oh, that one's actually feels pretty loose. So there might be something going on over here, but it's not the pad. A lot of times, like, these pads will actually come off and they kind of get caught in there and stop working. So there's something else going on in there. Yeah, this side is good. This side's tight. This is good. So I'm going to show you how the parking brake actually works underneath and why I know it's not a cable adjustment that needs to happen, but a shoe adjustment and probably a rebuild on that other side. All right, so here's the parking brake cable. As you can see, it runs back from the foot pedal to here, and then as you can see, the way it is oriented, when you tighten this nut right here, it's going to pull both sides in. See, here's one run out here, and then there's the other one over here. So as you tighten that, it basically pulls these closer together, and it pulls this and this closer together so that it's taut. But as you can see, it's actually pretty taut right now. That's how you know that the issue is not in the parking brake cable, but it's actually in one of the drum brakes that is the parking brake engagement with the rotor. I figured I might as well show you the parking brake in action. So see, when I pull on it, which is basically what happens, you know, when you depress the pedal, see? See, it actuates that spring. And you can see this side as well is functioning normally on this side. See that little gear there? That is actually the adjuster. And as you can see, once you free that and it all falls out, this thing you can work off of here. It does have the, see, this side still has the spring on it. So I need to get that out. But other than that, it's free. I'll be right back when I have that and the spring off. Okay, so this little, this little guy, this little pin actually was on the other side. So basically when you're reinstalling it, it's good to put some grease in there, and then you won't lose the pin when it falls out. You know, it won't roll away. And then on the other side was, you know, this was screwed into the adjuster, which I just dropped right there. But it all comes out very easily. So there's actually, as far as I can tell, there's no tension spring on the inside. I mean, I think you could, I'm not sure if you can use it or not, but both of those pads rest on these clips here. So you more or less have to reuse this clip because I don't believe this was included in the hardware. Yeah, as you can see, there's nothing down in here to attach this spring to. So there's really no point to leave it inside of the shoe because the shoe basically, you know, it doesn't require tension because it's being held at the base right there. And you can actually see there's like a little plunger in there that goes in and out when you depress the cable. And so that's what's going to cause the brake shoe to spread. Oh, duh. We actually know why this side failed. And as you can see, here's the plate, or the little clip, I should say, that the thing rests on. And as you can see, this one's kind of like bent forward, whereas this side is still, you know, properly oriented. So I think right there's your problem. The brake pad just wasn't secure enough on that clip, and it eventually came loose. And so, sorry, the brake shoe. These brake shoes, they literally just slide into the grooves in the bolts. As you can see, there's the old ones. I'll show you a new one. So they slide into these grooves right there. All you really need to do is free that shoe from the spring, so you can actually push it up off the spring, and then you can easily remove it and deal with the rest. And I'm not saying this is the best method, but the way I got, sorry, this is hard to do. I should probably get the stand, but the way I got the shoe off is that, you know, when it was down here, basically, I took one pry bar to pull it around until it was in the front of the hub. And then I took a smaller pry bar and shoved it in there to kind of hold it in position. Then I took this pry bar again and just continue to kind of like work it until it's sprung off. All right, if you want to know what I'm using, you know, on the components before I install them back, I'm using this white lithium grease that was included with the brake hardware kit on the bolt threads. And then for everything else, I'm just going to use a little bit of brake parts lubricant. You don't necessarily need to use it everywhere, but I'm going to add some to the outside of this. You know, anything that slides in, I'm going to use the brake parts lubricant. And I'm also going to add some in this chamber here that holds the pin. You can also apply it directly. Whoops. You can also apply it directly to these, you know, these faces. So basically, you know, just make sure you don't have metal on metal. You got some sort of grease to keep everything nice and freed up. See, as I mentioned, you can pack this chamber with grease to hold the pin, and then you just take it and slide it right in. All right, so I got the shoe back on, and I basically figured out a little trick to do it. I'll show you what I did on the other side. All right, you see that? I'm not telling you that this is the proper way to do this, but it's working. Look, see? All right, come on. So close. So close. Yeah, so close. Come on. Come on, fella. Oh, there we go. Got it. Oh, I learned something else. These little clips pop out. They have just a little pin in the back that they rest in. So I guess you could take them out. Yeah, it looks like it. It doesn't look like anything's broken. I accidentally knocked this out when I was putting the shoe back in. Oh, and also if you have to remove a shoe, make sure it's not on the clip, because it will bend the clip out of shape. All right, so now I got the clip back in and the brake shoe down, and it's nice and tight. So I'm just gonna finish up this side, and then we'll go to the other side. I was not able to free the clip on the other side. So when I get the shoe installed, we'll see how loose it is. Hey guys, this is basically part 2 of my parking brake shoe replacement on my 2001 Grand Prix. So what I originally thought was I could turn into kind of like a how-to video just as a change of pace, actually turned into a video of discovery, because ultimately I realized I had to remove the hub and bearing assembly and disassemble some of the parking brake system components at the brake. Trying to point that way. There we go. At the brake, so that I could slide the brake over the backing plate, you know, of the hub and bearing assembly, because I literally could not get a brake shoe over the front of the hub without damaging the brake shoe. They were deforming. So I had a couple of brake shoes over the weekend. I couldn't finish the job because I didn't have another set of brake shoes. And so I finished the job today. I kind of recorded some of the final steps in this process. So hopefully you find the whole thing entertaining. It's not so much a how-to until you get to the end, and then I kind of explain how to. Now, I've already taken the things off because I just want to get this done, but I will explain like the different components that you have to disassemble. So that's pretty much where we're at. So let's get back to the video. Okay, folks, day 2. What happened was, so I was doing this work over the weekend, and basically I ruined the brake shoes by trying to force them over this right here. You know, here's your hub and bearing assembly, basically. In the back, you've got your ABS sensor. And what I was trying to do, as you saw in the videos, I basically forced it around this. But the problem is when I did that, it actually deformed it. And, you know, as best as I could figure, I could not figure out a way to get the shoe around that. So basically I had to take apart, you know, this is actually the parking brake assembly. So it's kind of cool. I mean, it's simple but cool how it works. So this goes to the back of the backing plate. And as you can see, that right there, focus. That right there goes in, or I should say, this piece right here goes into that. So it goes through there, and then on the other side is this spring. And so that's basically how you have your spring tension. And this thing is more or less your plunger. So as you depress the parking brake, this thing goes forward. This piece right here goes forward. It goes into, but yeah, this piece right here goes into the back of, where is it? This. So this is actually what you saw. You know, there's the adjuster. So it goes into the back of this. It comes out through, you know, basically through the back into there. And on this side, you know, it's very easy to line. It's actually very easy to put back together once you have it figured out. But this is the side right here that the little pin on the other side of this goes into. So it's very easy to line back up. You know, basically you got to use a slide hammer to get the actual hub and bearing assembly out. But it only takes a few whacks. I used a 5-pound just to be safe. And you always want to make sure you disconnect the sensor first. And you do have to take this off. And the whole reason is because when this thing's bolted through that into that, or I should say, yeah, because it's through that into this, you have to undo this. What holds that bracket is 2 Torx bolts. So this is the tool that basically got the job done. I literally could not fit another bit ratchet in there. I tried the Easy Red. I tried, where is it? I tried my Matco. I couldn't fit anything. So, and amazingly, like, they were pretty tight, and I put a lot of force on this, and it did not give in. It did not give up. So this is all out of this Vim Tools half-cut set right here. It's like the VHC 77. This was absolutely essential. It was a lifesaver. What a great set. Oh, by the way, this will be featured in the video. It's the new Snap-on headlight. Pretty sweet, right? And I actually got my first set of FDX sockets, so I want to test those out. So this set, I forget what they're called, but they're like thin wall impact sockets from Matco, and they have a special, you know, they have a special end so they can actually bite into, where is it? I'm trying to get it focused. So these sockets right here, you see that? They fit multiple drives. They're impact, but they're thin wall. And what was super great about this is that it literally fit through the holes in the hub without making contact. So, you know, it didn't hit the hub or the socket. And also, this end grip is it was very aggressive. So it held the bolt and, you know, pulled out the bolt with it. It was like the perfect tool for the job. And I've used these a couple of times as extractors, and they work great as extractors. But this is like kind of the first time I used it as a normal socket in a thin wall application. So yeah, I really like this set by Matco. Okay, so when reassembling this stuff, you kind of want to stage this first. So you got the backing plate, you got the hub and bearing assembly, you've got your new brake shoe, you know, which obviously goes over the back of this plate, and you've got your little your chamber here where the plunger comes through, and these you know, basically here's your adjuster with the components on the back. And I'll show you kind of how you assemble the components on the back. All right, so now that we have the hub and bearing assembly back in place, and as you can see how you have a hole, they can get to the bolts. Let's see, where's the other one? Yeah, right there. Same on the bottom. Through there, and then there's another one over here. Yep. So Now you start putting together the parking brake components. And as you can see, this is what we're working with. You see the bolt sticking out with a little bit of white lithium grease on it? It's so tight in there that this is, like I said, this is literally the only ratchet and bit that I could get in there. See that rubber piece? You can push that out, but honestly, these components are, I didn't want to really mess with that. So by leaving that, portion of the parking brake cable where it's at, I was able to get in there with this ratchet and get to that Torx bolt and then reattach this bracket. And the one on this side is very easy. You could use any bit ratchet you want. So this goes in here. That goes in there. See? Right through the plunger, and then, hold on a second. Spring goes on the inside. See, there's the little bracket at the end of the cable. And spring goes on the inside, bracket goes on the outside. Spring goes just inside the bracket. And then this spring just gets stretched over here. So I'm gonna use one of everyone's favorite tools to put the spring back. Ta-da! Okay, as you can see, the spring is back over and everything is back to normal. I can pull on the cable. Little plunger goes. I don't know if you probably can't see in there, but it's moving. I'd say the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. See, now we got a proper fit here. You can easily get the rotor over it. And it's the same thing. You just gotta, you wanna have your adjuster all the way in and then have the, these grooves line up at the ears. Just slide it down onto the clip. And then you just gotta adjust it till you get a proper amount of resistance and you have a nice e-brake. And that's pretty much it. One of the stupid clips that holds the brake shoe in was loose, and so the brake shoe was like, it was kind of like it was oscillating in there, and so I was not getting braking power. So I tried, bending the clip, and then the clip itself came out. It was so frustrating. And then when I tried to get it back in, after I bent it into its proper shape, because I literally could not find these clips anywhere. So when I got it back to its proper shape, I couldn't get it to stay in the hole, so I had to drill out the pin that goes into the backing plate, and I just replaced it with a stainless steel, bolt and lock nut. I was just banging my head against the wall, trying to figure out why the heck this brake, would not lock up when I pushed down the parking brake. And the reason was because that stupid little pin was not in the cradle of the plunger. So it was just bypassing it and doing nothing. So that was the other thing that I finally realized. And it's the design is just so poor. It's so poor. But yeah, we got it work. We made it work. So anyway, that's one final tip. Just make sure the pin is in the cradle on the plunger. This is what working on old cars looks like.